Hello everybody and welcome to the Kirby's Epic Yarn playthrough. It's time for the finale of the game. Yes, you heard me right, we are beating this thing today. There will be one part of extras to follow, which will cover the last two levels of the game, which are the bonuses, and just a few little extra things as well. But this is the final stretch of what we are meant to be doing in the game, and we're going to see the credits today, so it's all going to be glorious. Anyway, it's time to begin Cloud Palace, which makes great reference to bubbly clouds from Kirby's Dream Land and also Grape Garden from Kirby's Adventure, though the music specifically is Bubbly Clouds, which is just nice and relaxing. Unfortunately not quite too fitting with the horror of this level, because I mean, you're dealing with all these boingers, which are these fluffy cloud springy things, which are all well and good for the first few bits of the level, but then you're just going to have to start dealing with boingers over bottomless pits. Obviously the only way to get height off of these fellas is to ground pound them, but ground pounding them means that you're just going to go straight through into the bottomless pit if you have not been careful. I mean, look at this bit here. Just, oh, it makes me just panic every single time. Because really you do need to be ground pounding to make any sort of decent progress over these fellas. But obviously it's... and also, if that thing's timed, it's just like, oh. This is a difficult level, because you also have to face down Krakow, because of course Krakow's here. This isn't plain old space Krakow, this is an actual Krakow. And he is incredibly frustrating. Just ridiculously frustrating. Because his attacks are powerful, and they will hurt. Thankfully he has sodded off now, so I'm not in too much trouble. But it is still just like, ugh. I panic whenever Krakow turns up in a platforming section, because there never seems to be, or at least never feels to be, quite enough time to get out of the way. It's just like, oh, why do you do this to me, game? Why? But I suppose that it happens. I do always tend to go like this with my video games, don't I? I'm just like, well, it's annoying, but just gotta deal with it and I was so close to death there. So very, very, very close. I think there were a lot of near misses throughout this, and I was just like, oh, and then I saw this and I was just like, oh, absolute sods. Just putting that there, of all places. Why do you do this to me? But anyway, we've gotten through that. We are now into the wonderful Star Shooter section. This is a new transformation, but we get to listen to the absolutely glorious outer rings, so I really don't care. It just makes me so happy. And obviously it means we get to collect so many beads. And we do have to deal with these co-Krakos, which are the mini things, but they're also quite easy. Anything when you've got like the Star Shooter or the Rocket is just an absolute blast. And I really do like the fact that we've changed from a old school shmup to a more modern shmup for this particular section. It's a nice little twist, because even though they're working on the same mechanics, they are fundamentally different, and it's a very different way of playing through the level, because you are given the option of paths and all that jazz. Maybe not necessarily in this very mission, but certainly in a mission to come. Actually, no, here we go. Two paths. One is going to lead us to the CD, which is the path I took, because I want that damn CD. You could have taken the other one for the beads, but really, we have enough beads by this point. We have the gold medal, and now it's time to take down Krakow himself. Who's, to be fair, not that difficult, because as long as you just keep attacking him, and as soon as he charges towards you, just drop down below him, you should be absolutely fine. Just wail on him and he'll go down soon enough. Either way, it's great fun as a boss. Bit simple, but a lot of fun. And I can't help but smile. And it probably helps that I've just had a minute or two of the glorious outer rings to sweeten the deal, but even then, it's still brilliant. Eh, 2-star. Could have been better, but still gold rank, so what the hey! And now it is time to head in to our final standard level of Kirby's Epic Yarn. It's gonna be long, it's gonna be challenging. So just buckle in, because this is going to be difficult. But also glorious, for multiple reasons which you will soon see. So here we go, it's time to enter Castle DDD. Now the first thing that you will realise upon entering Castle DDD is that it has one of the most popular Kirby songs of all time, Gourmet Race, which it's phenomenal, what can I say? It's such a great song. And I mean, I really love this particular arrangement of it as well. There's just something about the instruments selected in Epic Yarn that just really work with Kirby's soundtrack. And it's just great. Now, the gimmick of Castle DDD is that you're going to be using these cannonballs to progress throughout the level, but also all of your treasures, the bonus wheel pieces and the treasures themselves, are hidden in these rooms, where you must defeat every single enemy to remove a portrait, and then collect your loot. This is all well and good, up until, I believe it's the final room, which if you don't succeed in one go, it is impossible, absolutely impossible to complete. So if there is one level that you are likely to be replaying a few times, it's Castle DDD. Because that final challenge room is ridiculously hard. All of the others are pretty okay and quite fun, really, but that one, it's an absolute nightmare. Either way, let's just mosey on through and just enjoy the gloriousness that is Gourmet Race. I mean, obviously, it's originated in as a minigame in Kirby Superstar and Kirby Superstar Ultra, and it's just been there ever since. It's apparently more commonly associated with King DDD, and that's probably because the aim of the minigame was for Kirby to eat more food than King DDD. But what's actually quite interesting is that The CD in the stage incorrectly states that Gourmet Race's theme came from Kirby's Dreamland, when it does actually come from Kirby Superstar. So it's like, tut guys, you should have got this down pat. You should know where your things come from, gosh darn you. But it's all fine. It's a great level. And filled with a few rather fun challenges. I mean, that is a potential room that you could easily screw yourself out of, because if you ground pound through, then you're just going to go through the blocks at the bottom, and it's just not going to end well for you. Now, using the bombers is a bit of a pain, because obviously, if they explode, then you are really screwing yourself over. Thankfully, in this particular room, even though, you know, there are a limited number of bombers, it is possible, I think, to... well, it is, as you just saw there, possible to leap across the platforms to be able to get all of the bombers. So, you aren't entirely screwed over if you mess up. These bombers are going to be the cause of that grief that I told you in that final room, because... yeah... that's the one where... one shot, and it's over. Because the thing that this level doesn't tell you, at least before it begins, and you will only figure out by doing, is that none of these enemies respawn. So that is why it's so easy to get screwed over towards the end. But I have to say, I think that this is a really fun level to end the game on. It feels like you're pushing upwards, and you are literally pushing upwards through Castle DDD to reach Yin Yarn, so yeah, I should probably have rethought that phraseology before I began it, but here we are now anyway. Yeah, it's a metaphorical and a literal pushing upwards towards the end of the game. It feels like you're fighting against your foes, but it's also reclaiming something that is ours. This is our dreamland. It's also King Dedede's. Obviously, King Dedede is sort of a enemy slash ally. Depends on the game, depends on how he's feeling at the time and what Kirby's done to piss him off. But it's all about reclaiming our homeland. And obviously part of that is helped by the fact that, you know, the music is Gourmet Race, which is one of the most popular Kirby songs ever. Yeah, these guys aren't too tough, they're easy, even though they've got, like, a ridiculous amount of health. They're not a problem at all. Oh, okay. Ridiculous amount of health, they take 2 hits. They look more threatening than they actually are. Now, something that I feel I should probably mention about this level is that obviously it takes quite a while if you're going through collecting everything there is to collect. But if you're speedrunning this, you can clear it so very quickly. Like, I mean, I think this particular run of the level is maybe about 9-10 minutes long. Roughly around that, which is obviously quite long for a level in Epic Yarn. However, if you are, you know, just playing to get through the level, you can beat it in, well under a third of that time. And I suspect you'll probably be seeing an example of that soon enough. Because this is the room that I was talking about right at the start of this level. You have these 7 bombers, which means you only have well, 5 chances to destroy both of the bombers in the corner. That guy on the right-hand side is relatively easy to destroy. This guy on the left, however, is an absolute nightmare. Because the way in which you get him is you've got to throw the bomb through the gap, but there is absolutely no way that you can make it through. Absolutely no way whatsoever. Because you can't get up to that higher platform, nor can you do any sort of fancy car whip jump. I thought it might be possible. I know it's not. I really do know it's not. But it's just like you can get so close, so very close, and then it's just no, it can never happen. And I think at this point I was just like, I want to get the whole thing in one go. Why do you do this to me, game? It was going so very well, and then you screwed me over like there is no tomorrow, you sod. The thing is that I knew this was coming anyway, because it's a really difficult room, and as I said, it's impossible if that situation happens. So, in the end, it was just like, right, sod it, I'm just going to finish the level, come back and do it. It's not how I wanted this to end, but what can you do? Literally nothing is your answer. So, the only thing that is left to us is just finish the damn level and come back in. Also, DDD, you always were very, very, very vain. Of course, King DDD would have a statue of himself in his castle. Of course. Although, obviously, Yin Yarn is even more vain because he's made his own statue in here. Vain sod. But there we go, that is the end of Castle DDD. But obviously we are missing that final treasure. So before we actually, go and take on the final boss of the game, we need to get that sorted. Because I will not allow one treasure to be missing from this, It's simply not going to happen. So, using this wonderful bell, which will ultimately signal Yin Yarn's, act as Yin Yarn's death knell, or death knell, death knoll, whatever. He thinks he's so powerful, making a massive quilt over the sky and turning everything dark. I know what you want us to do, Yin Yarn, but I'm busy. Gotta get a CD, it's more important than you right now. So, seeing as, we probably should go and deal with Yin Yarn as soon as possible, I am just going to blitz it through Castle DDD. So you know how I told you that you can speedrun this very quickly? You're about to witness one of the fastest runs of Castle DDD ever. Probably not really, I'm sure these speedrunners have done far, far, far quicker runs of this level, but it's pretty quick, I have to say. And I felt quite proud of myself that I managed to manoeuvre through this thing at the pace that I did. Because I was just like, I think it was partially, I want this game to be done now. I love my time with it, but it is time to finish everything. And also because I was just like, I don't want to do this more than I have to. Because, trying to get the gosh darn CD in this level is a pain. It really, really is. And it is entirely because of the fact that you only have one shot at it. So if you fail, you have to restart the level. There is no other option. I mean, that's the only thing that really, truly frustrates me about this level, is that last one. It's the... well, it's not quite the only treasure chest in the game where you only have one shot at it, but it's the only one where you can just see it. It's just there. You've not zoomed past it. It is present in the room with you, but you have absolutely no option to make any progress. Also, I was just like, no, I've already lost one shot. This is not going well. It's like, right, okay, I've got one down. Okay, that's that. Now it's time to do the most difficult one. Oh, we only have one bomb left. So please, for the love of God, let this work, and oh, thank the Lord. It did! Haha! So that's the way you meant to do it, although you probably could, you know, do it in less moves. But it's fine, we've got Gourmet Race. Let's just blitz it, finish the level, and go take on Yin Yarn, because he's being very, very, very annoying, and I think he needs to suffer. And he needs to suffer badly. And trust me, Yin Yarn will, because he deserves it. And what would a Kirby game be without bringing absolute gut-wrenching pain to the villains that are trying to take over Dreamland? We just can't allow it at all. And obviously, I feel bad seeing that completely empty wheel, but I was just here for the CD. That was literally it. And now that we've got that, it is time to finish off this game. As this ominous music plays, let's head into the boss fight. You're going down, Yin Yarn. And oh my god, this music is amazing. It's just brilliant. Now, for the first phase of Yin Yarn, he's going to be resurrecting old bosses. He's actually one of 3 final bosses in the Kirby franchise to resurrect previous bosses, the others being Necrodius and Draucia. However, Draucia does not resurrect bosses during the final battle, but during several events throughout the game. But just like Draucia, Yin Yarn changes Kirby's design and battle style. So Draucia is the boss in Canvas Curse, so I mean it makes sense. Now, this is a bit that's sort of frustrating. So, Yin Yarn's going to send these sort of scissor enemies at you. And they're not too bad, but the way to get out of that is you've got to make sure that you climb based on where they're going to be. I mean, the enemies are called a suture, which, I mean, it's a corruption of the word suture, which is, you know, a needle attached to a piece of string used by surgeons. But yeah, those little bits are slightly frustrating because it's all about knowing where you've got to jump to get out. and it's a bit of a pain. But either way, it's still a really fun fight. But if you look in the background, you can actually see the Halberd, which is Meta Knight's ship, Metamelon Isle, and Patch Castle, among other things. This is actually the case even though, at this present moment in time, the player hasn't unlocked those 2 bonus levels of Battleship Halberd and Metamelon Isle. So you can see the Halberd on the left there, and Metamelon Isle on the right-hand side, and I believe Patchland is just up at the top. I mean, that's a nice little touch that I actually hadn't spotted before. Now, what's also a surprising thing to note, coming from the Kirby Wiki, is that Yin Yarn is the only final boss in the series so far to have facial hair. Because he has a big stonking moustache, because, you know, he's a Mexican, so he's got to wear a sombrero and a poncho and has to have a moustache, for whatever reason. And you know how I was just saying how much I absolutely adore the music in this level? Well, in this boss fight, it's actually a remix of the boss fight music and also Miracle Matter's theme in Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. So even though it's not technically entirely original, it's a great piece of music, and it's an excellent final boss theme. And actually, yesterday, as of when I'm recording this very commentary, I actually just finished writing a blog post about my top 10 final boss themes. Yin Yarn didn't actually come into it, although he certainly probably could have. If I'd done a top 15, I think Yin Yarn certainly would have made it. But it's a great theme. And also, you may think that the fight is over. And, I mean, I was traumatised because I was like, I only have a silver. But the thing is that I know that there is an extra phase here, and it is so much fun! Because it seems that Yin Yarn actually wasn't the true villain. It was his knitting needles all along. Although I suppose one might be yin and the other might be yarn, so that probably explains that one. Now, you're just going to be making so many beads out of this phase. It is ridiculous. So if you had at least a silver rank by the end of the first phase, you are just going to absolutely ace this. Because, I mean, even after defeating Yin Yarn, he's going to spit out a ridiculous number of beads. I mean, also a ridiculous number of rockets, but there we go. You see, I told you he was going to spit out a ridiculous number of beads. So if you didn't have the patch before now, you probably will certainly have it by the end. And there we go. The final boss has been defeated. Patchland and Dreamland is saved. Well, are saved. It's time to watch the really wonderful, charming little ending and the wonderful credits. Let's go.
With Yin Yarn's spell broken, Dreamland returned to its normal state of peace and quiet. Well, I guess this is goodbye, Fluff said. It made Kirby sad to see his new friend leave. Buck up, Kirby. As long as you have this magic sock, you can visit me anytime. Until then, Fluff said as he returned to Patchland. And that's the story of how Kirby and Prince Fluff defeated Yin Yarn the sorcerer and restored peace to Dreamland.
And there we go. That is the end of Kirby's Epic Yarn. It's such a wonderful little game, and I mean, I'm absolutely in love with this staff roll. It's glorious. It's up there with Nintendo's best credits rolls. And just, I mean, I've said it all before. Kirby's Epic Yarn is just so charming and lovely and sweet and adorable, and I truly love it for that. As I've said many times, it is perhaps a little too easy for more veteran gamers, but there is a place for a game like Epic Yarn, because not all games have to be ridiculously challenging. You can just have fun with a simple, relaxing little game. It's a notion that I certainly made a major point about when I did Prince of Persia 2008, and I've made it again here. And also, I'm pretty sure that I have also made it throughout Lost Winds and all those sorts of games where the purpose isn't necessarily facing a challenge, it's about just embracing the world that is presented to you. And when it's so wonderfully adorable and charming as this, I can't help but absolutely adore it. It's everything that I could possibly want from a relaxing game. And while there are certainly moments that are frustrating, Frigid Fjords, the last Treasure of Castle DDD, Boom Boatyard, they don't feel that out of place because they are the most challenging bits of Epic Yarn, and that's right that there is a little bit somewhere. So, and also, I am really grateful that this was my first Kirby game. Obviously, it's not a typical Kirby game, but the charm and joy that I felt from this game inspired me to then start getting other games in the series. And that's a very, very hard thing to do for games. But it made me fall in love with the Kirby series, and I've been here ever since. So I am just so grateful to it. And obviously the wonderful Satoru Iwata, who obviously has since passed away, but it's just a wonderful game, and I would say if you get the chance, just give it a go. It's adorable. Just sit back, relax, have a bit of platforming goodness. Don't worry about anything, and just listen to the glorious soundtrack, the gorgeous visuals, and just generally have an absolute blast.
The next day, Kirby fell asleep in some shade. He dozed happily with wonderful dreams and held the reminder of a dear friend, even though it smelled a bit.
So, as the game thanks me for playing, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you join me in the extras, which are coming very soon. There's only one part, and I also hope that you will join me in the next playthrough or walkthrough, wherever that may be. So thank you all so much once again. I'll see you then.